guys, welcome. This is Jared Goring. I'm going to talk to you about my 4-1 graded assignment on the case study MENORAH versus the Illinois High School Association. I'm going to talk a few of the facts of the case, the arguments on both sides of the case, the court findings, and then the implications of the athletic and activity administration. A few of the facts of the case are as follows. MENORAH versus the Illinois High School Association of 1982 pretty much sums up to where there's interscholastic sports offered in the state of Illinois, to where the sport of basketball is conducted under that umbrella of the IHSA. And a rule of the association is forbidding basketball players to wear other headwear, with the sole exception of a headband that is no wider than 2 inches while playing. So the concern behind this is the parents of some Orthodox Jews and the players who go to these two high schools in Chicago like to wear their yarmulkes on the top of their head while they are playing. However, the fear is, and the concern is the safety of the other players, that the headwear might fall off in the heat of play, and that one of the players might trip or slip on it, fall, and injure himself. Another court finding is that a fact of the court is the rule is challenged in that the case is an infringement of the religious freedom of these Orthodox Jews. According to Jewish males, they are required by their religion to cover their heads at all times, except for an example when they are immersed in water, they are unconscious, or that danger of the loss of their life is considered. Okay, a few of the last facts that I want to talk about are there is no exception for playing basketball in the state of Illinois currently for these Orthodox Jews and their religion. Orthodox Jews who play basketball must comply with the state rules and policies set forth by the Illinois High School Association, or they must at least try to comply with this requirement by wearing yarmulkes, small caps to cover the crown, and possibly fastened to the hair with bobby pins or hair barrettes. Bobby pins are not a secure method of fastening. Therefore, the yarmulkes fastened to them will fall off in the heat of play with some frequency. The association has interpreted its rule to forbid the wearing of yarmulkes during play, and the plaintiffs in this lawsuit, like I said, the two players and the parents of these players, contend that this interpretation forces them to choose between their religious beliefs and or participating in interscholastic basketball. Okay, a few arguments of this case, the MENORAH versus the Illinois High School Association, is the district court has held that the association is in the arm for the stated purposes against the 14th Amendment, that the hazards posted by the yarmulkes are too slight and slim to justify putting the plaintiffs to choose between their religious beliefs and or competing in the interscholastic basketball activity. The association no longer contests the finding that it is an arm of the state of Illinois for purposes of the 14th Amendment. Although the association is nominally a private organization, public high schools comprise the bulk of its membership base and dominate its decision making. The Supreme Court has interpreted to require, when it can, so much without to the cost or the inconvenience of the yarmulkes, to bend its regulations for these Orthodox Jews. General, non-discriminatory, and do not forbid, but merely burden a religious observance, to spare religious people the painful choice between giving up the part of their religious observance or competing interscholastically for their high school. The benefit that the plaintiffs seek in this case is the participation in the interscholastic basketball game. For so far as appears, the rules of the IHSA do not forbid the wearing of headwear in any other sport besides basketball. For example, football, it's covered up with a helmet. Baseball, it's covered up with a ball cap. The parties have argued this case to us if the religious obligation that was in conflict with state regulations was an obligation while playing basketball to wear a yarmulke fastened to your hair by bobby pins or other hair barrettes. Okay, a few of the last court or arguments of this case from both sides is the wearing of a yarmulke on the back of your skull, which by its size and position is very liable to fall off in any activity involving sudden movement. Some Orthodox Jews prefer to wear an ordinary hat instead, like I had mentioned, football or baseball, it's getting covered up with your helmet or your baseball hat instead. It happens to be an insecure method of keeping the yarmulke attached during basketball play with these bobby pins or these hair barrettes, therefore creating a safety hazard. But we are reasonably sure that a secure head covering exists or can be devised at a trivial cost without violating any Orthodox Jews, therefore religious belief. And that one of the facts of this case and arguments that bobby pins do not implicate the First Amendment values. The court findings are as follows. The district court thought that the barrettes, which are worn by girls to keep their hair in place, may fall on the floor, just like yarmulkes would. But until they do so, they keep the hair out of the eyes, and they make it less likely that they will collide with someone while wearing the barrettes to keep the hair out of their eyes. While we are unwilling to dismiss the safety concern behind the application of the association's Rule 2 forbid these yarmulkes, we do think that is great enough to justify the state's placing a heavy burden on religious observance. There appears to be nothing in the Jewish law that requires that the head covering take that form. If the plaintiffs can totally ally the state's safety concern at the same time, and making that practically at zero, the cost to them, they must do this. Otherwise, the state's concern is in the interest in relation to the burden on the plaintiff's religious freedom. As the plaintiffs had the burden of proving their First Amendment were infringed by the association's no headwear rule, we are constrained on this record to conclude that they failed to comply. Therefore, we have explained that no constitutional right to wear yarmulkes insecurely fastened by bobby pins, and therefore they cannot complain if the association refuses to let them do so because of great safety concerns that the plaintiffs will have. The opportunity to propose to the association a form of secure head covering that complies with this Jewish law, yet could possibly still meet the association's safety concern. Therefore, sewing it to the headband, or therefore complying with another form of head covering rather than the yarmulke. Okay, the implications for the Athletic and Activity Administration are as follows. Basically, the court put the burden back on the plaintiff's side of things, proposing an alternative, more secure method of covering the head of the plaintiffs rather than the defendants, because the plaintiffs know so much more about the Jewish law. Again, they would rather have them have this tightly, securely in place, whether it's sewn on the headband or whether a ball cap is worn to cover it instead. However, if they fell or the yarmulke was removed from their head during play, this might even forbid them to play basketball while wearing these yarmulkes, because it is a distraction to their religion. Given the high probability that the yarmulke will fall off during play, the court has proposed to the association in further proceedings that they advise on remand a more secure method of covering the head, in believing that the Jewish religious law permits a more secure head covering as opposed to the yarmulke, fastened only by bobby pins that also can be raised on remand. This court has been vacated and remanded until further court proceedings take place.